What is a scientific fact that absolutely blows your mind? Slime molds don't have brains or nervous systems, but somehow retain information and use it to make decisions. Even more crazy is that they can fuse with another individual and share the information. I'm not a biologist and this is from memory, but what I remember is fascinating. They rely on nutrient gradients to replace neurons. Internally they contain tubes that grow larger based on the amount of nutrient they transport. So more food equals larger paths equals they expand more in that direction. That's how they can solve mazes. They expand in all directions. But once one bit touches the food, that pathway gets reinforced. Just like neural pathways. And the rest of the organism flows there. Sounds like something a slime mold would say. There are actually blood vessels obstructing light from reaching certain areas in your eye, effectively creating a shadow. Your brain filters this out and essentially fills in the gaps, so you don't actually see the spider web-like network of black lines. However, you can visualize them by shining a light at a diagonal into your eye, not directly, and gently wiggling it about. This means your brain doesn't have enough time to filter it out, and you see the spider web-like network of blood vessels. Technical instructions to clarify the actions involved. I find it easier to see this effect in a dark environment. So the contrast of the black shadow against the light is higher. You want to be staring straight ahead and shining the light into your pupil at a 45-degree angle from the side directed at your nose. Phone light will do great. Then wiggle the light in gentle 1 centimeter movements side to side. Keep this up for about a second at least, and you should see them. Hope this clears it up a bit. I just saw them. Predominantly oriented vertically. Did not expect that. And you are right. It takes a bit of time. A few seconds in my case. Really strange. Thanks for this. Sharks are older than trees. Also, trees almost killed all land life on Earth as they used to be nothing that could decompose them. So dead trees covered the ground and killed all other vegetation. Only once fungus evolved did trees start decomposing. Sharks are older than Saturn's rings. Are trees older than Saturn's rings? Probably. There's uncertainty about exactly when Saturn's rings were formed, but data from the Cassini probe supports a relatively young age around 100 million years ago. Trees date back to 300 to 400 million years ago, though hardwood trees didn't appear until about 100 million years ago. The human body has at least 150 billion neurons. I only got one. I got a rock. If you put one of every animal in the bag and then pick one out, you have a 1/5 chance in picking a beetle and 1/2 chance of picking an insect of any kind. To put it another way, half of all animal species are insects and 40% of those are beetles. If one could conclude as to the nature of the creator from a study of creation, it would appear that God has an inordinate fondness for stars and beetles. Evolutionary biologist J. B. S. Haldane. There are 8 times as many atoms in a teaspoonful of water as there are teaspoonfuls of water in the Atlantic Ocean. This makes the deck of cards one even more crazy. There are 8x as many decks of cards in a teaspoonful of atoms than there are in the Atlantic Ocean. No. There are 8x as many atoms in a teaspoon of water as there are teaspoons of water in a deck of cards. Okay, but my recipe has it in tablespoons. Dinosaurs lived on the other side of the galaxy from where we are now. Milky Way local with a galactic history. Also, the lact in the word galactic is a clue that it's related to the word lactose, as they are all ultimately related to the Proto-Indo-European word for milk. Hence why we call it the Milky Way, due to its milky appearance. It's more obvious when it's called Via Lactea in your language. Approximately 85% of all the mass in the solar system is concentrated in the sun. The mass in our solar system is contained within the sun. Jupiter. And a rounding error. Very true. But even Jupiter could be a rounding error lol. It's only 0.095330% of the solar system's mass. So, statistically speaking, the Earth and the rest of the solar system, like Finland, don't exist. As a Finn, it always catches me off guard reading Finland memes in the strangest of places. Caterpillars basically dissolve into liquid in the cocoon. The only thing left are the so-called imaginal discs, groups of cells that contain all the information and the mechanism to turn that soup into the various body parts of a butterfly. The same applies for other insects. And apparently they retain memories through this process. Studies have been done. I recently read about the split brain experiments. There is a procedure for severe epilepsy that involves cutting the connecting nerves of the two brain hemispheres, resulting in the two hemispheres being unable to communicate with each other. The experiment shows that both halves can answer questions independently of each other, have separate opinions/preferences, form memories independently, basically suggesting that there are two minds in the brain. That just blows my mind or minds. I remember seeing videos about this in high school biology. Not only what you have said, but also since each hemisphere has different tasks and you cut their connection, a lot of things become different. For example, if they cover your eyes and give you an object you are familiar with, you are not able to identify it only by touch, because there is no communication between the two hemispheres. You have to see the object to be able to fully identify it. Scary, yes. More crazy even is that in certain scenarios where this procedure happened, one could hold up an object with their right hand looking at it only with their right eye, with the left eye blindfolded. When they were asked whether or not they knew what the object was, they would answer positively, but when asked what it was, they wouldn't be able to name it or describe it, despite affirming they knew what the object was. I think it had to do with the fact that there are many zones in the brain at play in this experiment: language, memory, visual perception, touch, that are unable to communicate correctly with each other. If two pieces of the same type of metal touch in space, they will bond and be permanently stuck together. Space welding, cold welding. It makes sense when you understand why it happens. I forgot most stuff including my name, but it has to do with free space in metal atoms that allow them to bond with each other. It does not happen normally on Earth because all sorts of other atoms get in the way. This is interesting and all, but now I want to hear more about your amnesia. Voyager 1 has been traveling 30,000 miles per hour for 43 years and it's only 20 light hours away, and the closest star is about 3 light year away, so it would only take 80,000 years. Do you know what day of the week that falls on? Because I have yoga on Wednesdays. Thursday around tea time, I believe. Don't forget your towel. The size of animals still blows my mind. You can read about how manta ray is 23 feet long and 3 tons, but it doesn't really hit you until you realize that's heavier than most cars. So I live in Hawaii, and I'm going night snorkeling with manta rays on my honeymoon in a couple of weeks. I can't wait. Also, it's whale season now, so the humpback are here. And I mean, you know, whales are massive, but they are mind-bogglingly massive in person. It's a whole nother thing seeing an animal the length 2 buses and weighing in at 30 tons launch itself completely out of the water isn't or inspiring display or power. Just got back from a week long in Kauai. Saw 2 whale mamas teaching their babies to swim. And from far away I thought the babies were adults. Then I saw mom's tails and fins and holy yes. You can fit all the planets, Pluto included, between the Earth and Moon. Yes. But please don't. Installs Universe Sandbox maliciously. Moonfall second. Planets fall. Snakes on a plane too. Get these moth-fine planets out of my moth-fine orbit. All matter literally gives off light, but we can only see a sliver of that spectrum, although we do have tools to help us see other spectrums. Our bodies give off infrared and are basically glowing in that portion of the spectrum, similar to how iron glows to our normal vision when it's heated. Something that sees a different spectrum than us might not see hot iron as glowing at the same temperatures we see iron glow at. Predator has entered the chat. There are some ice age animals that are so perfectly preserved in permafrost that scientists have been able to find them still with all their soft tissue, hair, and organs. They even found a couple mammoths that still had liquid blood in them, and I remember one scientist even tasting the mammoth meat. Also, there was a mummy found in China that was so well preserved that she still had all her skin, hair, organs, etc. Her body was even flexible that you could bend her limbs as if she was alive. They even found her last meal still in her stomach and could perform an autopsy on her to tell you why she died. She died over 2,000 years before she was found. As I recall, the mammoth meat tasted bad, but then I guess extreme freezer burn will do that. We also don't know what kind of prep went into the mammoth steak. What cut? Did they drain the blood completely? What kind of seasonings? Maybe mammoth steak is but mammoth fajitas are the bomb. They had a Cro-Mag Gordon Ramsay up in them caves. Mammoth meat effin' raw crouches down and tears it apart with his teeth. How much empty space there is in atoms. Like how the F I'm a solid object. I'll never understand. It's like fishnets. You cannot pass, but small stuff can like straws etc. Now apply that scale to the extreme. From microscopic to human to planetary. I just wanted to say I hate you for making me think of my leg like it's a really dense fishnet. Don't forget that since electrons move, your fishnet leg is breaking and fixing itself constantly. Without the development of genuinely sci-fi travel technology like wormholes or hyperspace, which may not even be possible, 99+ % of the universe will be forever locked off from us. Because of cosmic expansion, the various galactic clusters are moving away from our local cluster faster than we could ever catch up to them. Without these sci-fi drives, 99% of our galaxy will be forever locked off. Let alone other galaxies / galactic clusters. Right? Even Star Trek and Star Wars knew to stay in one galaxy. Voyager got stuck in another quadrant of the galaxy, and it was almost a death sentence because of the distance. I got stuck in the Delta Quadrant once. 1 out of 5 would not recommend.